Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
So Apple had its announcements last week. They announced new iPads, can't get it. New iPad Air. Announced new iPad minis with Retinas. Not only can't get it, don't know when you can get it. They announced, what else did they announce? Oh, they announced new MacBook Pros with Retina displays. Those you could get. So, of course, what did I do? I went out right away and I ordered the new MacBook Air with Retina display. I'd forgive you, Father, for not knowing whether this is this year's or last year's.
It looks a little identical.
Identical. Now, we do have Thunderbolt 2 ports, which is nice. That makes it commensurate with the Mac Pro, and I think everything's going to move to Thunderbolt 2, which is the faster version of a Thunderbolt. There are two of them. You'll see that's the MagSafe connector, the same one they used on the Air and last year's MacBook Pro with Retina. There's a USB 3 connector on that side, another USB 3 connector on the other side, HDMI port, and SD card slot. This is all pretty much the same. It's Thunderbolt 2 is the big difference. And the big difference really is what's inside, and that's the Haswell processor, the 4th generation Intel Core processor. Haswell has a few benefits: 50% battery life according to Intel, better performance, better Iris built-in motherboard graphics, and this is an Iris Pro because it's the higher-end model. This also has its own standalone GeForce graphics as well. So you have NVIDIA graphics as well as the motherboard graphics. Now, you pay the price. So these start at $19.99 for the 15-inch. This is the base $25.99 version. That is with an i7 processor. There's a lot to be said, about the specs on this. This is a spec-driven machine. 2880 by 1800 means it's Retina. That's 220 pixels per inch on this 15.4-inch screen. It does come with Mavericks installed. It's a 2 gigahertz i7, which turbos up all the way to 3.2 gigahertz as needed. Mine comes with 16 gigs of 1600 megahertz DDR3 RAM. You can't upgrade that, so make sure you get the RAM that you want. It's soldered right in there. Now, they offer a variety of sizes of solid-state drives, and they're getting bigger now on these solid-state drives, up to 512 gigabytes, which is, I think pretty good news. The model I'm looking at has a 2.3 gigahertz i7, 8 gigabytes of RAM, an NVIDIA GeForce GT 650M graphics card, and I think I got the stock amount of storage space, which is 512 gigabytes of storage space. That set me back a whopping, what did I say, $25.99?
$25.99.
I'm trying to forget it. I didn't really need it because I have last year's model. But a number of the things that we complained about with previous models of this is, the old one was a little bit slow on, in particular, moving from full screen app to full screen app. You don't see any lag at all now. That's definitely an improvement thanks to the Haswell processor. Battery life has been pretty good, although not remarkably better, and that's partly because we have such a high-resolution display. I just unplugged it after full charging. It says you're going to get about 4 hours, and indeed, I'm down 15% just during this show alone. So it's not exactly, life-changing battery life. If you want that, get the Haswell version of the MacBook Air. That's really remarkable. We're talking 12, 13, even better. And one good thing, Mavericks does improve the battery life quite a bit because OS 10, 10.9, the newest version of OS 10, which this comes from, does a lot to kind of combine wake-up states into one single block so the machine's not waking up a lot when it's doing things like getting your email and that power nap. So there's a lot of things that I like about Mavericks to improve the battery life. So there are a couple of cons. First of all, $25.99, $2,000, it's a lot of money. It's very expensive compared to comparable Windows laptops. So this is basically the same hardware in here. Also, some users are still complaining of problems with the hardware, at least in the early releases of this. I haven't seen any problems. Some users say, just like last year, there are two kinds of panels, Samsung and LG. Those, and you don't know what you're getting. This one is an LG panel. They say the LG panels are experiencing that ghosting on the gray that previous versions of the MacBook Pro with Retina display had. I do have the ghosting. I went out and did a test, and I said, yeah, sure enough. But if I stare at it, I see it. but I haven't noticed. It hasn't bothered me in real life. Some users say the ghosts will stay there for 20 minutes. That could be a problem. Others have reported keypad and trackpad issues. If you're worried about those kinds of things, wait a little bit. These will all be worked out by Apple, either with firmware upgrades, software upgrades, or maybe even hardware upgrades. You can bet that at that price, they're going to get this fixed. And anecdotal reports say that if you do go to the Apple store with a problem of ghosting or some sort of trackpad problem, they'll be pretty good about replacing this right away. Beautiful display. So pros and cons, of course, the display comes number one. It is just fabulous. The faster processor, better battery life, all big pros. Cons, I mentioned price. I mentioned the technical issues. And you saw there how tightly packed it is. There are no user-serviceable parts inside. It's all glued together. You can't even upgrade the RAM. What you buy is what you get on the MacBook Pro with Retina display. I'm not going to give this a buy only because if you have the older version, as I do, there really is no reason to upgrade unless you're really bugged by the minor amount of lag on the older version. On the other hand, if you want the best laptop out there, there's no question in my mind that the power, the display, just the gorgeous, elegant design, this is a work of art. But you pay a price. So I'm going to give it a try. Not a don't buy, but you should try it. You should take a look. And if you can afford it, you don't have last year's MacBook Pro with Retina, and you really want a fast, beautiful machine that you'd be very happy to use day in, day out, then it's probably worth buying. A try. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry. It's the best I can do on the MacBook Pro with Retina display. I'm happy I got it, but I did not notice as much of a difference as I thought I might. In fact, if you put these side by side, my old one last year's and this one, I bet you I couldn't figure out which was which.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The big difference is the Haswell chipset and
right.
the Haswell CPU, which, yes, will get you better power management, but that's a tiny little fraction of the power that the notebook uses.
The display is really got to be killing.
If you have last year's version,
right?
Yeah, you're not really getting it. Now, if this is going to be the first MacBook you're ever going to get, yeah, I mean,
it's great. And if you put Windows on this, man, it is beautiful. It's a really nice machine. No touch. Should mention that, and I don't think we were talking about this before the show. I doubt Apple will ever do touch. They and most Apple users are very happy with the capability that they've given to this fabulous trackpad. And I didn't even mention this. It almost goes without saying. Best trackpad in the industry. The glass trackpad is easy, smooth, flawless performance. The keyboard is easy to type on. Really has a good look. Of course, backlit keys. In that respect, you know what you're getting with an Apple. The unibody design is very elegant, very solid, no flex. It just built, like a MacBook with Retina display.